Sorry, I keep rubbing my head. It's fucking hot in here, and I'm too lazy to get up and turn on the air conditioning right now. But what do we got? What am I doing? What are we doing here, guys? Oh yeah, more questions. Zombie Fun has more questions for me, which I'm more than happy to answer. He asks, "What do you think?" Or no, he already answered that. What writers, directors, films, or TV shows do you really hate? And hate is such a strong word. There's not that many that I really hate. I'll say some stuff I don't like. Uh, I don't like Tim Burton. I think back on his body of work and it's like the first Batman was fun for the time, but I wouldn't watch it now. Edward Scissorhands was pretty good. Pee Wee's Big Adventure, but anything he's done in the last decade, this obsession with Johnny Depp, it's just fucking garbage. Sleepy Hollow, I don't like. I don't care. I know people like it. The Chocolate Factory suck. My asshole. Um, his Planet of the Apes remake was fucking stupid. So there's one guy I'm not a big fan of. Can't say I hate him, but I kind of do think his movies are shit lately. And he has just this weird obsession with Johnny Depp. So there's one. Um, God, I got some here. Rob Zombie. I thought The Devil's Rejects was okay, but I think like overall, like the guy just makes me jealous that he gets to work like writing and making movies when I know I could write stuff that's better than him. Also, when he went on to do the Halloween remakes and stuff, it's just Halloween does not fit for what he does, and he's pretty much trashing like my favorite horror franchise. So that's one. Um, I actually wrote down some answers to this one, but one of them I wrote down was Inception for some reason. I don't hate Inception, I just don't love it as much as most people. I just wasn't invested with the characters. The movie's too clinical and too, the plot is everything in it. Like I didn't care about the characters. It's a little overwrought and I don't know, just it's almost like it's too polished or something, but there's nothing there to care about. It's all right, but um one movie I hate just because everyone seemed to love it and it made a bunch of money and this and that is Avatar. James Cameron's Avatar. I just thought that was fucking a pile of shit. And it was cool because it went up against my favorite movie of that year, The Hurt Locker, which just kicked its ass at the Oscars, which thank God. I don't know, I just thought Avatar was completely predictable, boring, a special effects snooze fest. Um, Another one like that was like it won the Oscar for Best Picture. I didn't like at all. Was A Beautiful Mind. I just thought it was a total fucking bore, and that it misrepresented schizophrenia. Like if you know anything about schizophrenia, it's like that doesn't seem real. I like other Ron Howard movies, but just I did not like A Beautiful Mind. I was so surprised. Like that must have been a really weak year for A Beautiful Mind to win Best Picture. One movie I saw recently that I fucking hated, absolutely hated. I would do a rant on YouTube about it if I thought it was worth it. Um, it's called Three Backyards, and it's an indie film with like these three separate like suburban stories like interwoven. They're not even interwoven, and there's not really any story. We removed it. We reviewed it on Movie Dudes, and I think we both gave it 0 stars. I'm just like, there's absolutely no point to this movie. It's the type of movie that gives independent film a bad name, and I love independent films. And like, the people that would like champion this film are enemies to film. I don't say that lightly, but if you find something that is worthwhile in Three Backyards, uh, you just you're not doing yourself or independent films any favor, or films in general any favors. It's just pure garbage with no substance. At least independent films, like even the bad ones, usually have good character stuff or good, interesting dialogue or writing or at least some interesting camera work. But this is just, it has nothing for you. Just these three separate stories. Like one guy, he's having problems with his wife and he wanders around town all day. A girl almost runs into like this strange fucking dude, and then Edie Falco is a bored housewife who hangs out with this movie star for a day because she's a neighbor. There's nothing to it. There's nothing there. I like Elias Codius, if I'm saying his name correctly. He's the one story, like, I like him as an actor. I like Edie Falco as an actor, but it's just, and that's why I checked it out. I'm like, oh, I like independent films. I like these actors. This could be interesting. I like the multiple story, like kind of mosaic films. I thought this would be right up my alley. That's one of the worst fucking films ever. So there, if you want to see a terrible film, watch Three Backyards. Another one that just came to my mind from this year, Hobo with a Shotgun, I thought was shit. And it's the kind of thing like, oh, I can enjoy like grindhouse stuff, but just Hobo with a Shotgun just didn't do it for me. I don't even want to go into it. A writer, there's a writer that everyone loves, and not just like your common reader, but like critics, and he wins awards and shit. And I don't get it. Is Cormac McCarthy. I've read The Road and No Country for Old Men, so I'm not like an expert on his stuff, but his writing is so dry and lifeless, and that he's not doing anything special at all. I mean, I don't think you have to do anything special. I don't think you need like flowery language or anything to make your writing interesting. Like I'm reading this book right now. I'm almost done with it. I might talk about it. It's called The Lock Artist by Steve Hamilton. His very simple, straightforward language. He's not doing anything special, but it's better than anything I've read by Cormac McCarthy. Um, yeah, so I don't get it. Like Cormac McCarthy is just like the man grabbed the gun, the man raised the gun, he pointed the gun, he shot the gun at the guy. The guy died, and like this is brilliant. I don't get it. I understand. Like I like sparse language. I like doing a lot with a little, but I don't feel like Cormac McCarthy's doing a lot, and his writing is kind of dull. Some of the dialogue is pretty good, but it doesn't always feel like real dialogue. Anyways, that's my rant on Cormac McCarthy. I've already gone 8 minutes now just answering this one question, I think. So those are some things I'm not big fans of. I don't know if I hate all of them. I'm sure there are things that I hate, but I can't think of anything right now. Um, if I could beat anyone on Breaking Bad, who would I be? I'm tempted to say Walter because he's such a badass, but or you could be like I'm tempted to say Hank because he's a good guy, but he's crippled, and Walter has cancer and he might die, and I mean it's in remission, but he could die, and he could get killed by people at any moment. Who would I be? Fuck, I don't know, man. I would be Gus because he's a badass and he's on top, but he's not gonna be there for long. So who would I be? I would be nobody on that show. They're all doomed. So thanks for the question, Zombie Fun. CCS Davis. What are your top favorite films and top favorite TV shows? I'll do the TV shows first because they're kind of fresh in my mind. Number one is The Shield, greatest show ever. No arguments on that. Or don't try to argue with me. You're gonna lose. The Shield is the best. Two is The Wire. It's not just for pure entertainment, because if you're watching The Wire just for pure entertainment, that's why I think it's a step below The Shield. But I think The Wire is almost journalistic. It's like a diagnosis of society, of urban, decay, basically, and what's wrong with big cities in America. What's wrong with America? Great show. Behind that, that's where it's a little like, I've done a top five before on Movie Dudes. I should just refer you to that because well, Breaking Bad is probably number three right now. Even though the show is not done, it's that good. Four, I guess I would say maybe The Sopranos. It has its flaws, but that show like ushered in a new era of television, and in its good moments, it's great, and it's very sharp writing. Why not? The Sopranos. I'd probably round it out with The Wonder Years, just a show I loved growing up, and I've rewatched it, since I'm an adult, and it's still just as good. Just a cool show that like I loved it when I was a kid, especially because I was growing up right along Kevin Arnold, and I was having the same experiences as him at the time. Uh, just I mean, I remember seeing there's one episode where him and Paul Pfeiffer are they're like taking sex education. I was taking sex education at the same time. So many classic moments from that show where it would go from these specific things in Kevin's life that happened, but most people could relate to them. The first night your friend got his driver's license and he had a car and you guys drove around all night. I mean, I was the first one of my friends to have the car, but it was just things like that. It was just so many classic moments, and it had a specific time period that was cool. Not the time period I grew up in, but I liked that angle of it too. Just a lot to like about the Wonder Years. I wish they could put that out on DVD, but it probably will never happen. Top five favorite movies. This is a weird one because it's like I've seen thousands of films and I love a lot of them. So how do you choose the top five? I always my number one is always for like the last 10 years almost now. I always say Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I just think it's an absolutely beautiful film and entirely creative, and I think it's the first Charlie Kaufman based film where like the ingenuity of the script and the creativeness is matched by like the emotional punch of it. Like there's so many great emotional scenes in that. I always go back to like the scene where he has these memories that he can hide away and that he's locked deep in his brain. One of them is him killing some bird with a hammer in front of his friends when he was a little kid. And the way that scene plays out is just beautiful. The way things start, they do these things where like his memories are fading away as he's inside them. It's just if you haven't seen Eternal Sunshine, see it. But everyone that has seen it knows what I'm talking about. They would agree wholeheartedly. Um, I usually list, I would say like number one. It's an odd list, but my number one is probably Eternal Sunshine. Number two is A Simple Plan. I love crime thrillers. Here's a movie about or was it three friends that find a bag of money in the woods, and they have a simple plan to hold on to it for 6 months and see what happens, and then no one comes looking for it. They're gonna split it up. But of course, human nature gets in the way of that plan working, among other things. And God, if you want to talk about when Sam Raimi, best Sam Raimi film, Simple Plan, right there, man. I love that movie. But anyways, this is so strange because I only got a couple questions and this is already going into 3 videos. But whatever, that's cool. I'm gonna go into a third video just so I can answer everyone's question thoroughly. So thanks for watching part 2. Stick around for part 3.